Hi everyone. Thanks for coming for the workshop. I'll give a brief intro about me, myself, and Questbook before we start this presentation. I'm Harsha. I'm the co-founder at Questbook. Questbook is a place for builders to apply for grants, and it's a decentralized or grants orchestration tool for protocols to disburse their grants as well. And till now, we disbursed close to $1.2 million in the last 6 months to developers. So if you're a builder, if you're hacking something at the hackathon, keep an eye on the product because this is where you'll find all the grants opportunities right now. I've also set up the grants program for Polygon, and I've been on both sides of the table. I've been on the admin side where I've operated the grants program, and for the last 6 months, I myself, like any one of you, have worked on a grants proposal for Compound. I've requested a $1 million budget allocation as part of the grant proposal. In this presentation, I'll walk you through how I worked through that proposal, and there's a charm at the end. I'll tell you what's the current result of that proposal as well. It's a very special day because today is the announcement date for that proposal as well. I'll share the result towards the end. But yeah, I'll share both sides of the table now. Make sure you have the paper and the pen with you. So first, just write down whatever idea you have. Like it could be vague, whatever idea you're planning to hack at this hackathon. It could be very simple, it could be very crisp. It need not have a detailed roadmap. Just write your idea on your papers. So I'll walk you through how a grants proposal has to be written, and make sure at each slide you're implementing the suggestion on that slide. Cool. Let's cut to the chase. So what I'm going to do now is these are all actual grant proposal reviews which were done. So all the screenshots which you're looking at, these are the reviewer comments across protocols, across proposals. So we'll be actually talking data, see what kind of proposals interest a grant reviewer, what they focus on, what they don't. Okay. First, whatever idea you have written, make sure that you have a USP. Right? It could be anything. Like it could be, say something like this, right? Here there are existing products like what you're planning to hack. But what is that small USP which differentiates from the existing products in the market? It could be very simple, right? Like for example, in this proposal, they used a more legit collateral compared to any other proposal which was trying to do the same thing. Right? It's a very small USP, but still it caught the reviewer attention. It caught the committee's attention. So make sure that however small the USP is, make sure that you point it out. I'll read it out if you're not able to see. So the second proposal has a very strong UI UX. It's a very simple product. It's a very common product, very common proposal across the grant programs. But the USP this proposal has is a strong UI UX. So it need not be a it need not be a Web3 differentiator. It could be a Web2 differentiator. It could be as simple as a user experience, how it feels. Even that is a USP for you. Make sure that you call it out in your proposal. This is something interesting. This is something which we might generally miss. If your proposal is specific to a demographic, right? Like if it is specific to a particular region, a particular country, make sure you point it out. I mean, this is not relevant for all the proposals, but there could be proposals where you are implementing an activity, a community activity, which is very specific to that particular region. So make sure that is called out. Like if you look at this proposal, the whole attention on this proposal was because it was related to that particular region. It got the attention because it's relevant in that particular region. So make sure if it's demographic specific, it is very clearly called out. It is one of the key metrics when you review a proposal. It will stand out. Right? This is regarding having a USP on the proposal. I'm hoping that you're making note on the pages. So how much grants to request? I think it's quite intuitive. Look at similar proposals on other grant programs. There will be very similar, like if not exact matching, but there will be similar products which you are trying to propose as well. If you are at an experimentation phase, if you are at a phase which you're not sure of a very detailed roadmap, if you are not aware what 3 months is going to look like for the product, clearly call it out and ask for an experiment grant. So all these grants which you request for experiments, keep it very minimal. Ask for a reasonable grant. Committees do review proposals which do not have a product yet. They do appreciate experimentation, but make sure that you call it out. And you also have to clearly share what your metrics are going to be. On what basis are you going to measure that your experiment is successful? On what basis are you going to measure that your experiment is not successful? Right? And ask for a reasonable budget. Because any abnormal budget, it catches the attention in a negative way. Immediately there is a cross mark and there will be questions. So make sure that you are putting up a reasonable budget, and if you are in experimentation phase, call it out. Whatever contributions you have done, whatever development has been done to your product, make sure everything is relayed to the community member. It need not, like, I understand that because the grants process is through a form, through the committee, you might not always have access to the grants committee. The best way to deal with this is to ensure that all the progress is relayed on the community channels. Make sure this is put up on all the Telegram groups of that particular protocol. Make sure it is being discussed, take feedback from the community on Discord. Okay, this is the way the grants committee will be part of these channels, and they will have an eye of what your progress is. Make sure every development is communicated to the channel. If the best, it's always good to be over communicative. Start from the scratch of the product and share the entire implementation details. Of course, team is quite crucial, especially if you are at an experimentation phase. Make sure that your credentials are called out. By credentials, it need not necessarily be you worked at XYZ. It could also be your previous GitHub contributions. It could be your previous contributions to similar projects. It could be relevant experience in that particular product which you are building. So more relevance, the higher the mark. For example, they had a very detailed organization. The proposal applicant had a structure in place to handle the product. So make sure if you're a team of more than one, then clearly lay out who is handling what on your product. Again, this is kind of a repetition from a previous point. This talks about previous work. Make sure that all the product developments are related to the community. As I said, if you look at this proposal, their previous contributions were really crucial. Like, they might not have shared this with the interest of this grant proposal getting accepted, but the entire community was aware that the applicant previously worked on similar products. That played a really crucial role in accepting this particular proposal. Go to the product detailing. So if you look at this particular proposal, they went to the extent of writing a white paper for their grant proposal, like very detailed, right? Like, spend that time. Don't rush into submitting a grant proposal. Don't rush into. I know there are these grant cycles, and you will have to submit them before the grant cycle ends. But when you are doing it in a rush, it's always evident. Make sure that a grant proposal is as detailed as possible. Do your research. Make sure that the research you have done is showcased in your proposal as well. Like here, the single USP was that they had a white paper, and though there were like 5-6 negative comments on this proposal on different elements, this still got accepted. This was one more team which cracked the proposal grant because of participation in the community. It's always a good habit to share your observations. Even if you are researching about your product, even if you are having learnings, make sure that you hit them up on Discord. Share it in the community. There are similar people who are working on similar products. They would like to collab with you. They would like to, set up a one-on-one call to share feedback. Don't miss out on these opportunities. It's always good. All these Discord communities are very proactive. The community is very generous. So don't hesitate to share your learnings and observations. This is crisp. Make sure the first line of your product grant proposal clearly explains the product. It should not complicate the thought process of the reviewer. What is the easiest way for the grant reviewer to proposal reviewer to understand your product? That should be your first 1 to 2 sentences. Make sure that the product presentation is very crisp and clean. These are the do's. There were proposals which have a direct red mark, which get rejected outright if you miss out on certain details. So I'm hoping you're making notes or just adding whatever slide is relevant to your idea. Lack of details. Even if you are at an experimentation phase, even if you are at an idea or an initiative which did not still yet take shape, make sure that it is very explicitly called out. Right? It should not come out as, hey, the details were not shared. Even if the details are not shared, they should know why certain details are not shared. Maybe if you're at a development phase, you're still yet to figure out who your developers are going to be for this product, call it out. Make sure the committee knows in and out of your proposal or your approach or your research, your work being done on that particular product. This is a little difficult to predict, to be honest. This is not entirely in your hands. There could be circumstances which could affect your grant proposal. Like it could be a great idea in a bull market, but it need not be, like it could not be something which will catch attention in a bear market, right? So there could be proposals, though a great idea, perfect implementation, fantastic team, but still might not get accepted because of the circumstances. So make sure that you take this feedback from the grant committee review team so that you are aware why your proposal is not getting accepted. If it's something to do with the circumstances, you will have to just hit back when the time is right. So this is one reason, one of the key elements which we don't have control on. We also don't take this into consideration while submitting a proposal. This is a very simple, very basic. Across all the grant programs, this is one line which everybody cares about: milestones. There are protocols which take, for example, if you apply for a grant at TUN, you will have 10 milestones as a mandate. So you will have to define 10 milestones for your grant proposal. It's very difficult, right? When the moment you are defining 10 milestones, you are going very as granular as possible. You are explaining them every single implementation detail, every specific action which you take with your team. So the more milestones there are, the detailed the proposal is, it's always good. If there are no milestones, it's very clearly visible that you're coming here for free money. Though grants from the marketing standpoint might look like free money, it is not. Protocol is treating this grant money as an investment. They're not just using this for marketing. They want to ensure that their protocol grows when they give this grant to a project. Right? So when you're requesting for a proposal, make sure that your milestones are very clearly laid out. It can't be random. It can't be vague. You don't get access to open grants just because you have a great idea. You have to have a very detailed milestone setup. Okay, this is one proposal from Filecoin, which stood out amongst many others. Like, there are multiple things which were good about this particular proposal. I just only called out like 3 to 4 crucial elements. Look at the project description. So when you are giving out your project description, when you are giving out your proposal ideas description, that clearly shows how much research you have done on that particular idea, right? So if you look at this proposal's project description, the entire research they have done, and also they also talk about similar product which has been implemented within Filecoin itself. Similar proposals, why the previous proposals didn't go about, why is this unique as compared to other proposals in the grants program, it clearly calls out. They talk about the entire research which is being done in order to ensure that their project is very clearly described. What is the value that you are adding? This is another key element. Like if you look at a template of a grant proposal, you might not find explicit side headings for this. Like they won't have a very clear heading stating that, hey, can you share the value this proposal is going to add to the protocol? But this is intuitive. This is intuitive for a reviewer. This is what a reviewer will be looking out for. They would be looking out for what this particular proposal, what this particular idea is adding value to the protocol. But this is in general not actually called out in the proposal form. So make sure that you include this in the description, you include this in your proposal, even though it's not actually asked in the application form. And this is obvious, the deliverables very similar to milestones. And you have a very detailed, like this proposal has a very detailed roadmap, starting with every, like if you look at their proposal, they literally have a weekly submission for their development. Like 25th January, then they have 1st February, then they have 15th February. So they have a very detailed execution plan. They are also promising the deliverables in the, like, if you have not clicked the picture, they are also promising the deliverables and the development roadmap date-wise. So if you look at it, like, it's very clear, right? It's very evident that they have done their research. They know what they are doing. They know how to organize their team. They know how to get their team to deliver the promised deliverables. Again, coming back to the team slide, the credential slide, which was again relevant experience, not just contributions, not just GitHub contributions, but your contributions in the relevant field, in the relevant product ideas is what matters. So I'll quickly summarize it. Like, these are not actually asked. Project description, of course, is asked in a different way, but these are the things which are not explicitly asked on application forms, but make sure that you include this on your proposals. Project description, value, deliverables, development roadmap, and relevant experience. This is the current status of my proposal with Compound. The result will be out in 19 hours from now, but I have requested for a $1 million budget to disburse through Questbook. I have worked on this for the last 6 months as a grant applicant. So I was in your shoes for the last 6 months working on my proposal, doing my research. I'll quickly brief you what all went into, because this is a huge ask. This is literally 10 to 13% of comp treasury that we are requesting from Compound, right? And this is not the first, like, this proposal is about launching a grants program for Compound. Right, it's like a meta proposal. This is a proposal to launch a grants program. Now, they already had CGP 1.0, which was successful, and I'm relaunching CGP 2.0. So, which means that I need to have a clear definition of CGP 2.0. What am I trying to do here? What are my learnings from CGP 1.0? It took a lot of time. It took me 6 months. This proposal is to run the grants program for 6 months. So, to run a grants program for 6 months, I had to do research for 6 months. So I'll quickly explain what all went into the 6 months. First 1 month, I did a lot of research. I spoke to the previous grant committee members. I spoke to active community members of Compound. I prepared a first draft of the proposal, but even before I shared it with the community, I shared it individually one-on-one with the active community members, the core Compound developers, the core contributors of Compound. I got their feedback even before I put it out there, right? Then the first draft of the proposal. I took the feedback on the community. There's a discourse forum. I put it up there. Even the proposal for voting was put last week, but on the discussion forum, I have put it up 6 months back. Like, took the feedback, spoke to the token holders. At the end of the day, people who, like, if it's such a huge grant proposal, if this has to do with $1 million budget, if you're requesting for a high budget grants, it goes through a voting quorum, and for that, the token holders will be voting on your proposals. So it's not just a discourse forum community which is showing interest in your proposal. You will need interest from the token holders. The token holders are the ones who are actually going to vote on your proposal. So I had to make sure that I get their feedback. Their feedback is incorporated. I had to explain them why this program is being launched. And also, there is a threshold for every quorum. Like, for Compound, it was 400,000 votes. So at least when there is a 400,000 votes being voted, only then the proposal will be valid. I had to go through legal compliances. Then the process to put up the proposal itself took a month. And at the end, I had the proposal up last week, and it is going to end soon. I have 415,000 votes for the proposal and 2 votes against my proposal. There were very basics which I stuck to. I ensured that the structure is very detailed. Like, this is, I feel this is simple. You have to just stick to your basics and be very persistent. Like, I'm not personally a very deep programmer. I don't have a very deep knowledge into technology. But I was very persistent in understanding the concept. I was very persistent in understanding the community. I was very patient in speaking to, I had close to, I spoke to more than 300 plus grant applicants when I have set up the grants program for Polygon. So when you are proposing something, make sure that you speak to the community members. So this was one of that. Like, my research took a lot of time. Almost month and a half was just speaking to the community members. Be active in the community. It's okay if nobody is responding to your messages on Discord. It's okay if nobody is responding, nobody is answering your questions, but still ask them. there will be people who will be generous and eventually connect with you and coordinate with you to ensure that your proposal is out there. This had a very simple structure. I always start the proposal with the summary. The summary is not towards the end. I ensured that the summary is very clear. People know why I'm putting up this proposal. I've put up the purpose. Why am I even launching CGP 2.0? The problems, solution. How am I designing my particular program? What am I expecting out of this proposal? And last comes the credentials. Why am I even doing it? What's first book? And the product and the compensation details. I always ensure that it's pictorial. Make it as easy as possible for the reviewer to understand. Make it simple to comprehend for a reviewer. I had a grants program structure, very pictorial. I put up my research, like I've done a lot of research. Make sure that you speak to relevant members. Also discuss this in similar Discord communities. Like it could be a different protocol, but a similar protocol. Make sure that you're also talking those to those community members. Like if you look at my draft, I start off by saying that these are the core contributors of Compound. One of them was the grant lead for the CGP 1.0. So this is my first line of my proposal. I have done my research. That is what I wanted to say. I spoke to people. I put in efforts. I have done my research. I ensured that all the loopholes are blocked. The program design, what is the inspiration? It's not like a idea which is entirely unique. There have Ethereum Foundation uses a very similar model. So I ensured that all the programs which are already using similar models are also mentioned. I have like whatever is uncomfortable, whatever is the gray area, make sure that it's whitened out. Legal compliances, if there is anything, make sure you don't hesitate to speak to legal advocates and take their opinion. Compensation details, be as clear as possible. What are you charging for? How much are you charging and why are you charging? And that's all. I have the quorum right now with 400,000 votes. If I was able to submit for a $1 million budget and in a bear market, I'm pretty sure each one of you would be able to do it. Just make sure that you're genuine and following the steps very sincerely and be persistent with your proposal. I have my team, Richik and Shweta, who will do a very quick demo. I think Richik will share what to be done with these color papers at the end of the talk.
Yeah.
You want to do it here only or you want to?
यहीं पे कर लेता हूँ. हाँ. Hey, I'm audible, right? Cool. So you can scan this QR code that's there, and you'll be able to visit our website. So upon visiting Questbook, you'll be able to see all the grant details that is there. And this comes up like this, and this is for your own benefit, as in all the points that Harsha mentioned, they are jotted down here in a very crisp format for you to refer to them during the hackathon or even after that as well. And once you submit the proposal, it comes up and you can submit several iterations of it and use it during the hackathon to maintain your to draft your proposal and at the end submit it on the 4th. I hope you have a great hackathon. Happy hacking. Yeah, we're done. Yeah, thank you.